What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another video. So I apologize for missing last week's upload. My buddy's truck here ended up popping up last week, which kind of took me away from my YouTube filming time. So it's a pretty interesting scenario that we got going on here. I kind of want to talk about it a little bit. So I'm going to start the story from the very beginning. This truck ran perfectly fine. It's 100% bone stock, as you can see. We're going to do a new set of glow plugs here as well on it, but I'm going to talk about some of the problems that this thing's having. Now, normally, these L5Ps are pretty much bulletproof, but as these trucks get a little bit older and older and they get more higher miles on them, you start to see more and more issues of what's going to be a common problem on these trucks. And this is starting to turn out to be a little bit of an electrical nightmare, which sucks. Now, as everyone knows, these newer trucks have a ton more electrical to them, and this is the exact situation what's going on here. So let me explain the story. Truck was running perfectly fine, never had an issue with it. Driving up the highway, all of a sudden the truck just randomly cuts out. So calls me up, he's like, "Hey Denny, what's going on?" So I go, "You know what? Try replacing the air filter." So they threw on a brand new S&B intake, a little bit dirty from running it, and a brand new filter. That did not fix the problem. It made the truck run and start, and from there on out, it's still been nothing but problems. So one time he pulled a code on it, it was throwing a fuel pressure regulator low. So, I said, no, clear it out. Maybe it's the fuel filter. Change the fuel filter, and same exact result. So I said, you know what? Bring it up to me. I'll see what's going on with it. So check engine light's physically on the dash. I go to hook up my code reader to it. Will not pull a single code off it, not communicating with the truck at all. So I'm like, you know what? Let's hook up HP tuners. I hook up HP tuners, and it's not reading the VIN, not reading the ECM serial, not reading anything off this truck. So it's not communicating with the truck whatsoever, which kind of sucks because at one point he did say he's a fuel pressure regulator. That was throwing the code for it, but now we can't get any insight off the truck at all. You can't data log, can't do nothing because the truck's not communicating. So along those lines, I'm like, you know what, let's test this ECM out. I did a full ECM test out of the truck, and ECM's perfectly fine. So that leads me to believe it's a CAN bus circuit issue. So I went ahead, put all new NOx plugs in the truck, and also put a new def tank in. Same exact thing. And that's basically where you want to start. Normally if you have a CAN bus communication issue, it's normally the NOx plugs and the def tank. So none of that fixed the problem. It's still not communicating. So today what we're going to do is go ahead and try to replace this fuel pressure regulator, which kind of sucks. I kind of dove into this a little bit deeper. I'm not going to waste your guys' time hooking up my laptop and going through all the stuff with that. But we do got to get the Y bridge pulled out. Already got the belt disconnected, cold side pipe off. Next thing up is we're going to we're going to unhook the AC compressor and then get the intake horn out of the way, get the Y bridge out, and hopefully we can get to this regulator down in there. Now, we're also, like I said, we're going to do 8 glow plugs because the light was on for that. But I only like to use OEM parts straight from the dealer. I know you could probably get this stuff a little bit cheaper online, but the problem is nowadays everyone online just knocks stuff off. They'll say it's OEM part, put it in an OEM box, make it look OEM, but it's not. So I like to go straight to my dealer and order it just so I know it's getting done right. So I've got the new regulator in here. If I can open this up one hand. So we're going to go ahead and get this installed. I'm hoping not to really tear this apart too crazy, but as you can see, it's in here, and I'm hoping that this is what's causing the CAN bus communication problem, and we'll go from there. Like I said, I'm not really going to show installing these glow plugs. I already made a couple of videos ago, but I thought this is pretty interesting that, we're trying to diagnose it. Nothing's popping up to the fact on, why check engine light's on. He read the code once, said it was this regulator, so we'll go ahead and give this regulator a shot and see what happens. And also, too, another symptom was when I was driving it, I didn't talk about this one. The check engine light's on, and you'll drive the truck, there's not a single message on the dash other than the check engine light, and the truck will not go above 70 miles an hour. Once you get into 6th gear, it'll hang the gear, not want to shift. So I think it's something to do with fuel pressure. I hear the lift pump kick on, all that stuff. So we're going to go ahead now, start tearing this down a little bit. I'll get into it. I'm not really going to show the disassembly of this because it's pretty standard stuff, just removing a couple things I already talked about. 4 bolts here, 2 bolts here, the Y bridge, and then we'll basically to the regulator. It's down here in the valley. I'm hoping I get to it pretty easily. I don't want to disconnect the coolant or anything. That coolant line that goes to the thermostat is kind of going to be in the way a little bit, but I'll see if I can pry it out. So we'll give that a shot, and I'm also liking Every time I get a new tool, I kind of talk about it a little bit. I got this new Milwaukee light right here. It's super awesome. It makes a lot more light under the hood here for working. Makes life a ton easier. So let's dive into this and see if this regulator is the problem or not. I ended up getting the AC compressor out of the way, the intake horn out. Now, as you can see down in here, the regulator is right here under this little hose that comes off the thermostat housing. Right in here is the regulator. So I'm gonna go ahead and unplug this. I'm not gonna take the Y bridge out. I don't think it's gonna give me any more room per se. It sucks because the bolts are gonna be terrible to get to, but I think spending a little bit more time doing this, getting these two bolts out, that's all that's holding that in, will save me time in the long run. So I'm gonna go ahead here now, gently unplug this clip off the back of the regulator, and we'll work on getting it out, see if we see anything wrong with the one that's in there. If not, I just assume it's an electrical failure of that. But we'll get it out, check it out, and we'll work on getting a new one put in. Okay, so that ended up taking a turn for the worse. Like always, had to take the Y bridge out of the way. As you can see with the Y bridge out, how much room's actually down in there. Had to disconnect everything off the Y bridge wiring harness. I also took off this rubber hose right here that goes to the end of the thermostat housing right here. Let me see, it goes right here. Took that hose off, I lifted it up here and kind of just gently rotated out of the way. I was careful not to mess it up because that's all I gotta get reconnected. So we got this pulled out. This is the old valve here. It doesn't look too messed up, but like I said, it's all electronical. So we're gonna go ahead and get these new O-rings lubed up, put on the new unit, and we'll get that slid in, bolt it back in, and we'll get the Y bridge and everything reinstalled, and we'll start it up from there and see if that fixed the problem or not, or if we have to keep looking for our issue. We're in the process of getting the new one installed. I don't know if you're gonna be able to see this on camera or not, but as you can see, the O-ring I put in right here, you can kind of see it on camera. Make sure 100% you get that old one out. It actually ended up getting stuck to the old regulator, so there it is. Just 100% make sure you get that pulled out. I got the new one lubricated in some new diesel fuel, set in there. So now I'm going to take the new regulator right over here, and I'm going to put a little bit of diesel, lube that up there, drop this in carefully, make sure that O-ring still stays seated. We'll get it bolted in, and then we'll start working on getting the Y bridge and everything put back in. Okay, so I got the new regulator dropped back in and installed. Now, what I ended up doing was I didn't want to stay all the way pushed in when I was trying to keep it in there, so each side bolt in there, I kind of just like did 2 twists on this side, 2 twists on this side, and I evenly worked it back and forth till it got in. Then I plugged the electrical back in, so now what I'm going to do is take this hose right here that went to the thermostat right here, drop that back and get all this tightened back up. We'll get the Y bridge dropped back in. Make sure to pull out, if you ever put anything in the intake runners, pull that stuff out. Get the cold side pipe hooked back up, AC compressor, belt, all the electrical. Then we'll take it on a test drive, and hopefully that fixed the problem, because like I said, that's what we basically narrowed it down to. But with these trucks, when you can't really get any data off it, I'm hoping not to play hit or miss, but we'll see what it is, and if not, we'll start further diving into it from there. Okay, so I just took it out on a test drive, and unfortunately the truck is doing the exact same thing. So tomorrow I gotta dive into this a little bit deeper. I'm gonna try to take my dealer tool, my MDI2, and hook up and see if there's like some type of CAN bus communication test. From looking around, that's what I heard there can be. So basically 99% of the stuff on the CAN bus has been replaced. So we're gonna try to diagnose it more tomorrow. I wanted to start off with the cheaper and easier part first before we start going to more crazy and expensive parts. I'm just hoping it's not a chafed wire or somewhere really messing up the CAN bus system on this truck. So if you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe. Stay tuned to next week while we keep diving into this, because we're gonna be persistent and try to knock this out as fast as possible. So if you guys are new here, be sure to subscribe. If you like this video, be sure to leave it a big thumbs up. And until next time, I'll see you guys in the next one. Take care.
Stop this conversation.